Good evening, people. Once again, you're welcome to the dialogue with Lady Raj. I hope you can hear me clearly this evening. If it's not too clear, please let me know. Thank you. And we're going to start the conversation now, but I would request that you kindly share the link with somebody to join. You can also ping your friends on Clubhouse, and I believe it will be helpful to all of us. All right. Okay, so let's pray. Let's say a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for tonight also, and we trust that, Lord, we'll leave here better than we came. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so tonight, I'll make as many of us as possible speakers because I want it to be very interactive. Yesterday and earlier today, I sent around a message asking for your opinions on workplace relationships or romance. Um, I want to know what you think about it. Do you think it's a no-go area? Do you think it's okay? Is this something that you would do? Or it's something that you would stay absolutely clear of? Um, it's quite an interesting one. I have received one or two, messages regarding the topic. And but first I would like to hear from you here, you on the call right now. I'd like to hear what you think. So I'm going to make as many of you as possible speakers. So if I send the invitation, kindly accept the invitation. I just want to know what you think of the whole thing. Is it something that you think is acceptable, or it's a nah for you? So if I send you the invitation, kindly accept it and share your thoughts with us. All right. I've sent invitations. No one has accepted yet. Who is speaking first? Okay, anyway, let me share this one that I received. So she says, I'm dating my supervisor, and that's not the problem. The issue is that his ex is also in the same office with them. And that's not even the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that the ex is also a member of their team. And so there's a lot of friction and um, animosity between them. And I'm just paraphrasing what she said. And so she has constantly had to sort of compete with the lady, and she's not too comfortable with it. And so she wants to know how to go about it. So anyone who has an idea about this, kindly help us out. She says she's dating her supervisor, and the supervisor's ex is also a member of their team, and there's a lot of friction between them, and she feels like she always has to compete with the other lady, and she's asking how to go about the whole thing. I see Sami has accepted my invitation. So Sami, kindly share your thoughts with me if you don't mind before we go on. Sami, can you hear me? Wow. Sami, can you hear me? I can see you commenting, but you are not speaking. Okay, so Sami said his background is quite noisy. So anybody, well, you can share your comments also in the chat box with us so that I will read them out. Oh, I really want this to be an interactive session, so please comply with me. Please comply. Okay, anyway, you're all not complying, so I'll just go ahead and share my thoughts for now. Okay, so I mean, when it comes to this, I I like every other relationship. I especially with this one because it can be very dicey. So I'll first advise that you really consult God about it and ask what He thinks of it, whether you should really actually go ahead with this thing. That's my first reaction. And also I think that the second thing you should do is to check with your company's policy. Okay, so the issue at hand is that there's a lady who says she's dating her supervisor, and his supervisor's ex is in the same office. Not only is she in the same office, she's also in the same team with them. And so there's a lot of friction between the two of them. And this lady feels like she constantly has to compete with the ex for the gentleman's attention. And she's asking how to go about the whole thing. So that's what we are discussing now. Before we delve into the topic proper. So that's what we are discussing now. You can share your thoughts um, in the chat box for us. So, like I was saying, um, you have to know your company's policy. There are companies that prohibit it altogether, like it's not allowed. There are companies in which you cannot date a co-worker. So you need to be sure of what the company policy says about it. I'm an HR person, so this is quite important to me. Otherwise, I mean, it will mean that one of you would have to quit the job. And I don't know if you are ready to make that sacrifice. So, first of all, you need to check that. Does the company policy allow it? And then you go on with that. But speaking with the lady, okay, so I see that Elvis has raised his hand. So, Elvis, I invite you to speak now. Just accept my invitation and then share your thoughts with us. Elvis, I've just sent an invitation. Oh, you can't join? Okay, but he sent the request anyway. So there are companies that prohibit workers from dating each other and others allow it. So you need to know what the company policy says. Okay, Jennifer, woman of God, you're a speaker now. I would really love to hear what you have to say about this.
Okay, can you hear me?
Clearly.
Yeah. So personally, I don't subscribe to the workplace relationship, but in the context that you've put it, I feel like first and foremost, you should be able to distinguish between two roles. She's in a relationship with her supervisor, and the fact that she's in a professional setting. So
Mm,
if you're in a professional set, I don't see how you're going to mix being in a relationship with somebody and delivering to whatever capacity you've been employed in. So I think that first of all, she should know the reason why she's in the company. And you did say, yeah, I know some companies don't allow, I mean, they when you get married, it's either one person has to leave or both leave. there's that company
Yeah.
policy. So when I
Yeah.
don't see how, and I even have a problem with the guy, the fact that he's literally, he's dated one person in the office and now dates another person in the office.
The same
So as
place.
you said earlier on, yeah, like I'm looking at the guy too. You get what I mean? Because it creates a lot of conflict. And as women, if you also don't know who you are and whose you are,
Mm-hmm.
then you realize
Yeah.
that you are competing with somebody. You feel like you feel inferior to somebody. So I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
there should be room for that, because you were employed to work. Your company wants to see results. So if
Yeah.
there's something that is breeding animosity, or you're feeling uncomfortable, then there's even a question mark there. Because I
Yeah.
think yesterday my dad and I were just having a conversation, and he was like, it was about this workplace romance, and there
Wow.
was this girl,
What a
and I think she
coincidence.
compromised herself, you know what I mean, compromised herself with her boss. And
Mm.
now she felt like, I mean, the guy has seen her past, literally in quotes. So she felt like now she's the madam, but this man who owns the firm is married. You see, it breeds all sorts of issues. And
Hmm.
women, I mean, men
Hmm.
respect women who they're strong and firm in their values and their morals. So I think it's not too healthy a relationship being in the same place. So sometimes you're not even working, you're thinking, what's the guy doing, why is he chatting with this person?
Hmm.
So as you said, I'm not really for it. But I
Hmm.
also like to hear other people's view. But I think that I
Definitely.
think
Definitely.
it's just like 1% that really works out, to be honest. So
Hmm.
I think she should also take it into prayer, and then yeah, we'll see.
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Jennifer. I mean, when I got the message, I was like, I mean, why do you even feel the need to compete with this person? So then, in that case, I mean, love should make you feel secure. Love should make you feel safe. Because if you feel the need, in fact, she said other things. She actually said that because of the whole thing, to secure her position or to mark her territory or something, she's had to sometimes kind of follow the guy home, just to just to um mark her territory, kind of. And I feel like any kind of relationship that makes you feel that insecure is quite unhealthy. I'm still asking for opinions here. All right, so I see Nicholas Solomon. He says she should have a girl to girl conversation with the ex. If she believes in the relationship she's having with the supervisor and the company has no rigid policy on in house relationships, she should go ahead and talk to the ex. This is only to make sure she's not being used. I am with you on that. I am with you because if the other lady is also behaving like um a girlfriend or a beloved, then that raises a question mark. So it's okay. I don't think it should be a confrontation, but like you said, a girl to girl conversation. I don't know how that will go anyway, but and Nicholas again says the supervisor may be genuine and actually searching for a genuine way to settle down. Nothing prevents him from dating from the same office if that's where he feels safe. It could be. It could be. So I mean, but especially I was going to say this later, but because I started with this lady's issue, I could just as well reason now. If you are dating somebody who is your superior or your how do you say subordinate, it could be a lot more complicated because conflicts of interest can come in because the person is your superior. Maybe he works on your appraisal and all these things. If you are dating this person, how, especially for the superior, how is he going to place the team's interests first? How are we sure he's not placing your individual interest? It raises a lot of eyebrows, and I just feel like it's quite um, unnecessary. And also, there could be a reputational risk, like your professionalism can be called into question because people don't know your motive, especially for us women. People can have a lot of perception about us when we are dating people who are superior to us, people always of the opinion that you kind of would or seduce your ways, for lack of a better word, into whatever position that you are in. So it could raise a lot of reputational flags, and I just don't know if it is all worth it. I don't know if it's worth it. But for this particular lady's issue, I feel like, um, first of all, the gentleman himself has an issue that he has to work on. The fact that you've dated two people at the same place, it's some way. And the fact that she feels like she needs to compete for a place in the guy's life is also not too comfortable to me. Okay, so I asked people for their opinions. I'm asking you now, what do you think about workplace um relationships or romance? That's the topic we are dealing with now. We'll get to how to manage them, but for now, I want to know your opinion on it. Is it something that you would go for, or it's just a no for you? It's something that you don't think you will attempt at all. I want to know what you think. So if you have something to say, kindly just raise your hand and I will make you a speaker. Then you can speak. But let me read this in the comments. Samuel Mensah says, yes, having to compete and draw your territories in the first place tells your place in his life is not secure. Yes. You are peripheral. Reason you are bothered. Very, very unhealthy. I agree with you on that. If you'd like to share your thoughts with us, Josie, if you don't mind, I would really love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm sending you an invitation. Kindly accept and tell us what you think. Pastor Joella is also here. Pastor Joella, I'm sending you an invitation. If you can speak where you are, please accept it and then let's hear what you think about this. So another person shared her thoughts with us. I mean, she hasn't been in such a relationship before, but she was just sharing her thoughts on the whole thing, and that's what she has to say. That I haven't been a person who advocates for workplace romance. As the saying goes, work doesn't mix with pleasure. There are stories of old where workplace romance equally plummeted the progress of work, where boss and secretary were going at it. In business, you can't take a risk in making emotional decisions where logic is the aura in that space of work. Even at the banks where two couples work, the bank ensures that both parties are the same work at the same bank but at different branches. So I think for work and emotions, they are conflicting concepts. That's true. Where I used to work, it was allowed, but if you got married, then one would be transferred to a different branch just to avoid conflicts of interest and all those things. Yeah. So anybody else has anything to share with us? I would really love to hear your opinions, please. Don't let me do this alone, people. Kindly share your thoughts with me. All right, so Grace says workplace romance is a no for me. It's too complicated because if you get too close to the opposite sex, you could ruffle some feathers. And when you break up, how do you survive? Do you find a new job? How do you survive when he's dating another person? This is too much drama. The drama, dear, it's a lot. Oh. It's a lot of drama, and I feel it's avoidable. But okay, Irama also has something to say. She says, if you will be able to stand your beloved being close to other colleagues and you won't allow your emotions to make you do things that will bring issues, then she says that's fine. And sometimes, it will make you a monitoring spirit. Your eyes will just be following the person around. Hey, who is this lady that he's talking to? Hey, who is this gentleman that he's talking to? If you feel like you are okay with it and it will not make you paranoid or insecure or anything, then you can go for it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly share your thoughts with me, please. Kindly share your thoughts with me on this issue. and let's deal with it. Okay, let me read something else that I got on WhatsApp. This lady says, I don't think it's the best. I want, and I've never been involved in it. I won't feel free at my work without the fear of my partner thinking or feeling that I'm cheating or flirting. Plus, there are instances where I might need to be extra or a little closer to a supervisor or even a colleague for probably something work related that may help me to grow professionally. And maybe my beloved will think there's something going on. So she is not for it at all. Please share your thoughts with me on this topic before we delve deeper into it. Okay, so I understand Patrick wants to speak. Patrick, where's Patrick? Sammy said Patrick wants to speak. Where's Patrick, please? Where's Patrick so that I can make him a speaker? Okay, I don't know if you can, unless he's using a different name. I'm not seeing Patrick here. If you are Patrick, kindly send a request so that I can make you a speaker. But while I wait for Patrick, um, I'm just looking for some of the messages that people sent me. Right. Oh, just a moment. Okay, sorry guys, I was unable to unmute myself. But this person says that I was attracted to a colleague at work, and then he finally asked me out for a date. We had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time, and I thought he did too. And he said he would call me soon, but he never called. So I waited a few days, and then he dropped a subtle hint at work. And then I dropped a subtle hint at work that he still owed me a call. And he said, oh, I've been meaning to reach out. And he never did. And so I kind of pushed him a little bit. And then he filed a report to HR and reported me for sexual harassment. Oh, wow. That's quite extreme. That's quite extreme. Anyway, okay. Josie says, I didn't start the session with you, but all I can say is that my mom and dad met at their workplace and they were together for 40 years. Wow, sometimes it works. Oh, yes, yes. I mean, there are instances where it works, but the issue comes in when it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and then now you don't know whether you should leave the place altogether or you should continue to stay, and it gets awkward. So, yes, this lady says that she went out on a date with somebody from her workplace, a work colleague, and the person said they would call back and they never did. And so, in her bid to, kind of find out what's happening, and you know that now companies are big on sexual harassment. Like it's a huge issue now that you can even somebody can even file for sexual harassment by just the way you look at them. I mean, even in Ghana here, it has become a big deal. And so now there are lots of issues around it. So you just have to be very careful when it comes to these things. But I think that the guy went to the extreme. It was totally uncalled for. Totally uncalled for. Anyway, all right, Vera. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm sending you an invitation to speak. I'd love to hear your thoughts on workplace romance. Vera, you're a speaker now. So anyway, okay, Vera, please speak. Hello, what's going on? Okay, while I wait for Vera, please unmute yourself. You are mute. Vera, kindly unmute yourself and speak so we can hear you. But while I wait for Vera, I put a few things down about this thing that if you do agree with someone to start a relationship at work, you should know that there are two things involved. It will either work out and you will end it will end in happily ever after, or it won't work out and everything will just become so awkward. So those are the two possible outcomes, and you should be ready to deal with them. And so the first thing is that there are cons and then pros, definitely, like in every situation. So the let me start with the pros. Okay, when I say the pro, then I'll say the con. So the first thing is that you get to spend all day together. That's whether you're in the same department or in different departments. Maybe you get to spend the whole day in the same space, and this could be an advantage, especially in the early stages of the relationship when you know you can't just get enough of the person. You always want the person around and all that. And those are just the early stages of a relationship where you all just feel like you want to see each other. Yes, you'll be going for lunch together and it looks nice and whatnot. But the con of this one is that you have to spend all day together, and you know how we all sometimes want our personal space. Like there's something there's a way that being around each other all the time can just make you tired of the person, and so that is the disadvantage there. And the second pro or the second advantage is that you you will never have lunch alone. That's if you people decide to go public, then you never have lunch alone. You always, have lunch together, and that's it. And what I will advise, for the sake of people who can be very, very cunning, is that if you do start a relationship at the workplace, make it private but not a secret. Don't let it be like you're actually hiding, you're making an effort to hide it. If one party is making every effort to hide it, there could be an issue somewhere. He could be hiding another partner in the same workplace. But I mean, you've not said anything, but maybe you hang out together and all that. That is fine. That's okay. Um, the disadvantage with never having lunch alone is that you may end up losing your other friends at the workplace when you are constantly spending time alone with this person. Like during lunchtime, there's nobody else. Yeah, at the end of the day, you may lose the other friends you have at the workplace. Okay, so let me read some comments from the chat box. Irama Eduapia says, Okay, maybe to the guy it was just a friendly date. Okay, about the first instance, and she took it too personal. It could be. Samuel Mensah says the ethics of most institutions frown on relationships in the workplace. I may not have the data, but it's an open secret that these things affect productivity and the atmosphere in the office, especially when those involved don't go about it in a mature way. Okay. Elvis shared an experience. Said, I have an experience with workplace relationship and it's been awesome since. Oh, good for you. Though it was against company policy, we maintained discipline anytime we went to work, and everything has been going on well with you. Really nice. We're looking for it to move into the next phase of our relationship. I really wish you the best, Elvis. I really wish you the best. Oh, Mr. Ibis, you know good. Don't try it. Which one? Which one is no good? It's worked out for people. It's worked out for people, and so all right. So somebody just sent me a private message. She says, haven't been in the field of aviation for a while. Dating amongst crew is most at times not encouraged. This is because some air related accidents have been associated with negligence on the part of crew members in relationships or that are married. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I mean, just imagine a pilot having to forget to do some vital things before a flight because he might be going through a breakup or quarrel with a flight attendant on board his flight. It's quite dangerous and people's lives may be at risk. So I do believe um working it's working or failing depends on the field. That's true, or type of work, and also how that space accommodates relationships among co-workers. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's true. I really that you really scared me with that pilot thing. It's possible that a lot of them are having heartbreaks, and before you realize, they start venting their spleen on the wheels behind the wheels of the. Okay, Vera, can you hear us? If you still cannot speak, I will advise that you kindly leave and then rejoin. Maybe it would have been resolved by then. Thank you. Okay, so let me continue with advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so um one advantage is that it is possible that because you've been working with this person, you know the person quite well. And so I mean it is safer than a blind date where you probably don't know the person at all. And you know that before you get into a relationship, it's important to know the person, and so that you feel safe. And that disadvantage, it could turn. The disadvantage is that you already know each other, so it feels like there's no excitement in you know um discovering new things. But sometimes to that there's a side of them that they don't show at work, so it could be a pro or a con. Like I said, um the another advantage is that they could pump you up at work. That is, I mean, you always know that there's somebody there who is cheering you on. Maybe there's a presentation and you're presenting, you know that, oh, your significant other has got your back or something. Or in some situations, the person will do the complete opposite, and for the in their bid not to look biased, they'll start opposing everything you do, and that could lead to a lot of friction. Okay, so Michael, okay, somebody sent a private message. He says, I don't think falling in love with someone at the workplace in itself is a bad thing, but allowing it to transcend into a romantic relationship is where the problem is. This is because it usually breeds unwanted drama The main reason why you are employed by the organization in the first place was to deliver on your targets. Being in a romantic relationship was never part of the deal in the first place. I realized that usually when two people are in a romantic relationship, one must leave the organization eventually in order to be together because company policy frowns against it. Notwithstanding, romantic relationships sometimes work in rare situations. Wow, that's true. But I mean, what's of what you said? It's okay if you fall in love, but it's not okay to get into a relationship. So what do you do? You should do what? Fall out of love or what? Anyway, Vera, can you try again, please? You can unmute yourself and try speaking again. If you have any thoughts
Okay,
this evening,
can
we
you
are okay. Vera, I can
can you
hear
hear
you
me?
now. Yes,
Oh,
Vera, I
okay.
can hear you
So,
now. Okay.
all right. I had to go out and come in again. So, normally when people stay at one place together for a long time, they tend to get connected to each other because you're always seeing them every time you're together. So
Yeah.
sometimes these things build up. First of all, you, the person that you're trying to get into a relationship with someone, you should know yourself, your temperament, and you should know the temperament of the person that if you both should fight at home, are you the type that you bring it to the workplace? You understand? So a lot of things have
Mm,
to be
mm,
considered before going into it. And I mean, I've seen some at my workplace and it never works out, the ones I've seen in my workplace, because every day there's drama and the man is upset, the woman is upset, and they come to the workplace and they show whatever is going on. And we all get to know that, oh, something is really going on and it's coming from home. So personally, I can't work with my husband because I don't want to see you the whole day. I want to go, you go. Later, we all come and we meet. So somebody like me, I cannot work with my colleague or my boss or anybody that is in my workplace. So that's I said earlier, you have to know yourself and you have to know what you're getting into. You both have to sit down and talk it through that these are the steps and however we are going. But mostly, I don't think it's advisable, but it does happen. And if it happens, you have to see, as you have said earlier, you have to know the risk and the benefits involved. And weighing them, I think the risks are more than the benefits that comes with it. So that's my take on it. And with the experience, I've not personally had an experience dating a colleague because I I'm not I don't want to date anybody
you
who
just
lives in
can't.
my no, I don't want to date somebody who lives in my area, who goes to my church or goes to my school or work with
Hey.
me. Yes, I don't like that. I don't want to see you a
Mm,
lot. So, I mean,
mm,
if anything, I'll continue later. Thank you.
mm. Well, thank you, Vera. It's funny that you mentioned church. When I was bringing this up, I wanted to add church, and then someone told me that that one is a different ball game altogether. I mean, so they think that is something that we should discuss another time. So we'll be discussing relationship in church
Yeah,
and
Lady Raj,
how.
you see,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't want to date somebody, date is the word, somebody I go to
Mm,
church with. But I don't mind after marriage, you should come to my church. That's my policy. Or I will go to your church, but
mm,
I want you to come to my church. But when we are courting, don't come to, I don't want to, you shouldn't be my church member. That's me,
mm.
but everybody is different.
Yeah, yeah, everyone is different, of course. I mean, I'm sure we've all watched or heard of the movie Fine Wine. And we saw how two people in the same space, the same office were dating, and how the guy was behaving some way and being condescending and all that. And I mean, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. So, okay, so there's somebody here. Irame Duapia says, so what if they are both doctors? and they have
Uh-huh.
both been
Lady Raj,
posted.
I
Yes, sis.
wanted to answer that. I saw that question. What if they are both
Yeah, Vera
doctors
works in a hospital, so
and
she.
they have been posted to the same department? I've seen a lot of doctors divorce, and I have
Hmm.
a cousin who is a doctor married to a doctor, and they divorced. He married a doctor again, and they divorced again.
Oh
So
goodness.
you see, it's the conflicts that come with it. Because I mean, sometimes
Hmm.
when you fight at home and everybody goes away, it gives it a
Hmm.
breathing so that when you
Yeah,
come back
yeah,
home, you are
yeah,
refreshed. But if you fight at home and
yeah.
you go to the same place and you are seeing the person at that same place, the annoyance, the anger, everything is still in there.
It
There's no
doesn't go
breathing
away.
point. Exactly. So
Hmm.
it's is really some way when it comes to that.
Mm, mm,
That's
mm.
why I said
So
first you should know yourself and know whom you're
yeah,
dealing with. Yeah.
mm, that's true. I mean, I was going to talk about the um jobs where people are most likely to engage in office romance, and is the healthcare I was going to mention. We see a lot of doctors and nurses getting married, and sometimes it could be because they spend a considerable time at the same place. And so maybe we can assume that they hardly socialize elsewhere. And so they see each other more often. So they end up, getting together. And another place is, the entertainment industry, where we see people, these celebrities getting married and dating, and we see how a lot of them end. A lot of them, I won't say all, how a lot of them end. People in the music industry, in the movie industry, and sometimes it doesn't end well. But I know a few that have worked and are still working. We wish them the best. And people in the finance sector, people who work in the banks, a lot of them marry, you know, other bankers because of the long hours that they spend at work, I suppose, and the aviation. So it was interesting that my lady brought that up. Pilots, flight attendants, and all those people. And yeah, Vera, Vera, you have something to say? Please go on. I don't know why
Okay.
the chat
So
seems to be between Vera and I. I want all of us to get on the
so
conversation, please. So if you
I
have
have
something
worked.
to say, kindly raise your
Yeah.
hand and I'll send you an invitation, please. Thank you. Vera, please continue.
Okay. So Lady Raj, I've worked as a nurse in Ghana for years before I moved to the
Mm-hmm.
States, and I've worked here too for
Yeah.
some time now. And I've seen the difference. The
Mm,
more reason why doctors and nurse relationship in Ghana is like mostly they get married because even the job itself will let you feel that doctor is a superior over you. You understand?
mm,
Even somebody is a nurse, they say they will know. So they see the doctors as their superiors. And so they succumb to them. And
mm,
that relationship start bringing up there. So that humility the nurse will show the doctor. And the doctor said, oh, she's humble. And then there's something happens. And the nurse, in the other hand, also sees the doctor as a superior. So they humble themselves towards the doctor. So most of the time,
mm,
relationship starts over there. But over here, a nurse is her own boss, and a doctor is so it's two
mm,
different things. So a doctor cannot tell a nurse cannot be talk anyhow to a nurse or do anything because you are in your own
mm,
section, a nurse is in her own section, and most of the time it's the nurses that even run the shows here. So
mm,
it is once in 10 that you will see a nurse and a doctor having a relationship, and not like Ghana that nurses you go to the consulting room and nurses sitting there with a doctor. No, here it is not like that. So you see
mm,
the
mm.
cultures and everything come into play. So that's
Come to
why
play,
mostly
yeah.
is different. Yes, but our back home is mostly because there's only a nurse and a doctor in a consulting room. If a patient doesn't come in, it's just the two of them, and they start talking, and it gets personal, and then it builds up from there.
Mm,
So. That is it.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much, Vera. Great, 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 great submissions there. Um, okay, so I'll share a few thoughts then. You guys are still not being interactive. Why? Why? Okay, I can see people talking in the comment section. Alice, they'll cut your intestines instead of the tumor. Oh my God. Grace Johnson says, for church, it's a no-no. People have different characters at church compared to elsewhere. Grace, we are going to be discussing that pretty soon on the show. So just just fasten your seatbelt for that. But I would like to, while I wait for other people to get ready to speak, some advice concerning people who want to indulge in workplace romance or relationships. The first thing is that you need to be clear about your intentions early on. You don't have to rush. You have to be sure that this is really what you want, because your job could be at stake. This is your source of income. So I'm not sure that it's something that you want to play with. If it goes south, then you need to consider it. Is it something? Is this a relationship that you are willing to lose your job over? So that's the first thing. Be clear in your mind. What really do you want with this person? Are you sure that this is somebody you would like to marry? Because as Christians, the ultimate goal of our dating is to get to know somebody well enough to marry them. All right, so is this somebody that you think you can even live with in the first place? Before let us I always say this is a Christian platform. So as much as I don't want us to be hypocritical, I want us to be practical, but at the same time we need to set our priorities right as Christians. There are lots of people who, I'm talking from experience, indulge in workplace relationships, and it's not really a relationship they are looking for. They just want to play around. And at the end of the day it gets messy. I don't think it's something that is worth it at all. V, did you say Jennifer wants to speak, or you want to hear her speak? Oh, Jennifer spoke before you came, but Jennifer, Vera wants to hear you, so I'll come back to you. So please prepare something to say, maybe from what I'm sharing. And if you do decide to date, set some ground rules. Set some ground rules to protect yourself, to protect your supervisor. Set ground rules that maybe when we go to work, um, um, I don't know, just set rules for yourselves. Um, you have to cover, are you the kind who wants people to see you in public together? But like I said in the beginning, being in a private relationship and a secret relationship are two different things. So do you want people to know? N- yes, you should know your limits. Know your limits. You should know that it's a working environment. So, yes, as much as you are dating the person or whatever, you have to be careful and know your limits. And also, you need to proceed with caution, openness, and honesty. You need to be very careful. You have to start with openness, having nothing. Otherwise, the person just um engages in a relation in a conversation with another colleague, and then the person reveals something that you haven't told your partner about, and it can be some way. So those are some of the things. Okay, thank you, darling. Private issues should be dropped at the entrance and shouldn't be brought to work. And that's what my husband just sent me. Yes, like Vera mentioned, you have an issue with the person at home, and that is why she says that she wouldn't even be interested at all. I mean, because you'll be fighting at home, and then because maybe you are the person's superior, you start, you know, udineni. How do you even say that in English? Picking on her, picking on the person because you have an issue at home or in the relationship. Know where the fight ends. Yeah, know where your issues end. Um, what else do I have here? You guys are really not doing well. I said we should do this together. You've left it all to me. But anyway, okay. So yeah, just know your limits. Be careful if the two of you report to the same person. I will advise that you speak to the person. That is if your company um, policy allows in-house dating. If your company policy allows in-house dating, then you should speak to your boss. If the two of you report to the same person, just let them know that this is what is going on. I don't know what you people feel, but this is what I strongly feel that if the two of you report to the same person, then your boss should know about it. Or what do you think? I mean, Vera or anybody, what do you think? If the two of you report to the same superior or the same supervisor,
Yes.
do you think that the person should be? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
if you report to the same boss immediately, so you see these things you can't hide them. No matter
yeah,
how much
yeah,
you try to
yeah,
hide them, people will still see, people will talk about it. So it's best
yeah.
you come out with it from the beginning. It's
Mm,
best you just say that, oh, this is what we are going, because even if you hide it, that's where the conflicts will start and it will bring
mm-hmm,
more
mm-hmm,
problems. So I guess you
mm.
have to
Okay, thank
bring
you.
it
So
up.
yeah, so it means you're with me on that. Um, yeah, Vera says when emotions are involved, especially women, we think with our hearts. Yeah, it's difficult to leave it at home. So I'm sure Vera is here still insisting that stay away from office romance. But sometimes it works. I mean, there are people who have met at their workplace and they married. I mean, when I was at the bank, I saw a lot of people who got married, honestly. I know a lot of couples who got married. They met at the bank and they got married. Just that if they were in the same branch or department, one had to be transferred. And that was it. It was okay where I worked. I don't know for other places. Other places frown strictly on it, but for other places it's okay. Okay, Grace Johnson says, I think it's also best to keep it a secret for as long as possible because some colleagues can be deceitful and sow seeds of discord. I had two colleagues who kept it a secret. The guy quit and started a new job and they got married 3 months later. Wow. Wow, that's nice. But my thing, you see, Grace, my issue is with the secrets. Um, somebody will know, trust me. Somebody will know. So it is best if I'm saying that if the two of you report to the same boss, I think it is best that you let the person know from the onset. So to avoid speculations and all those things. Jennifer, woman of God, is there anything else you'd like to add? Please, want to hear your voice again.
Oh, sorry. No, I agree with everything you're saying. I don't have anything to add up here.
Vera wanted to hear your voice. So,
Oh, yeah.
okay. So, I mean, what you should remember is that there are risks, okay? In life, everything's a risk actually. Um everything's a risk, but
So,
when you are
Lady Raj,
doing this,
I want to talk to Grace Johnson. So,
okay,
she was mentioning that um, i- some colleagues can be mischievous and try to set discord among you. Even if you keep it a secret and somebody wants to create the discord, they will create
they
discord.
will.
You understand? And even it's more dangerous when you keep it a secret and they are creating discord. You can't even talk about it because it's
Yeah,
all about
yeah,
what the
yeah,
people are doing. You understand? So
yeah,
you'll be like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
but you
yeah,
say you are not dating, so why are you bothered about what I'm telling you? And it's
yeah.
eating you up.
Exactly,
So it's better you tell them.
exactly.
Thank
Hmm.
you.
The thing is, I'm laughing, but it just reminded me of something. Anyway, but Grace, I spoke about privacy and secrecy. They are two different things. There's a way where you can everybody knows. I mean, like from all indication, they can see that you are together, but you haven't really said anything. It's not like you are working hard to keep it away from everybody. That is where the problem is. You should relax. If one party is afraid to let someone see, then there's an issue. But if you are just relaxed and allowing, you are not saying anything, but I mean, from all indications, it's quite obvious that there's something going on. People will respect that. But if you work hard to try to hide it, then it makes it a problem. It makes it a problem. Okay, so I want, as you people are not trying to mind me, let me just say a few things. You should know the risk of getting involved with someone at work. All right, and the two of you really need to have a talk, like a serious talk, not at work, away from work, about how about the risk involved, and know that with every relationship it's either it works or it will not work. So in the case where it works, what does the company policy say? Does it allow it? If it allows it, then you can go ahead and get married, and maybe one of you be moved to a different branch or something. But if it's against it, is any one of you ready to quit their job for it? I mean, it's a serious thing, so the two of you should sit down and talk about it. And um, the things that you don't have to do. The first thing is, do not pursue a co-worker or somebody in your office space if you are not serious about a relationship. All right, if you just want to play around, please. And as a Christian, I will not even it's not something you should do. We shouldn't play around. If you are not serious, you are not ready to be in a relationship, just don't pursue anyone. And the second thing that I would say is that don't date someone you have a reporting relationship with, like your superior. I feel strongly against it. It can turn really sour. And um yeah, that's it. Okay, so Samuel Mensah, you are ready to speak now. Sami, please unmute yourself and speak. And if anybody else has anything to say, somebody is sending me a message about the church one, but no, we'll not start it today. As for the church one, it's going to be a long discussion. So we'll talk about that another day. But Sami Mensa, can I have your opinion on this, please? You can unmute yourself and speak.
All right, good evening, everyone. So this workplace relationship thing, it's something that I don't advise that you should do. Okay. So, when you take the data, okay, which I don't have, you'd realize that most of the times these
Ah,
things don't end up well. Yeah, these things don't end up well. So, it ends up, um, it ends up making the working environment a bit toxic for you. So if you think you want to break the status quo and then try and do this thing, what you have to do is you have to do your due diligence. Okay, uh, study the workplace environment and know what goes on there and what not to do. Your laws there, the ethics, everything, HR policies, everything. Consider that, and then again, you should also imagine yourself in the worst case scenario. What you will be doing when things go
yeah.
very sour, what's the worst thing that you can do? Imagine that happening and see the repercussion and ask yourself, is it worth it?
Mm.
Is it worth that?
Mm.
Then again, you also have to use your discretion. Okay, if you should go ahead. That's how you do public display of affection, how you relate with the person at work. You know, when you're at work, you are not lovers, you are co-workers, depending on your rank and the person's rank. It must even be a reporting relationship, but you should know how to relate to the person when you're at work. Be professional. But that being said, I don't advise it because it's too much work. It's too much work. And then the effects, the side effect, which we've spoken about since the beginning of this session, it's just too much. If you think it's worth it, fine, but it's not something I would advise. So, yeah, that's my little input. I'll put it here.
Well, thank you so much, Sammy. So it seems that those against it are more than those who are for it.
Lady
But
Raj,
not to
Lady
discourage you.
Raj,
Yes,
you
yes,
see
please.
exactly what Sammy said is what my husband was telling me right now. He said it's too much.
Hmm.
He said it's too much
It's
because
too
you
much.
see the he said it's too much work. I mean, you need to put in a lot of effort when it comes to that, especially when you even the person is your boss. So
Hmm.
you need to switch. You have to have multiple personalities because you need to switch as a wife to
Yeah,
become
yeah,
a
Charlie.
subordinate too. You have to say yes, sir, and no, what kind of life is that?
Hmm.
It's too much. I
Hmm.
mean, it's too difficult.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Imagine you're at a conference and he says something, you want to say, oh, yes, sir. And you go like, yes, babe. Just imagine the drama.
Yeah, so I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Wow. Anyway, but whatever the case is, I mean, we can't force anyone to do anything, but do what you think is best for you. But if you are someone who cannot stand embarrassment, or like we all said, you should weigh the risks involved. Okay, like, you think that the whole thing is worth it? I didn't have a very good experience with that. So if you ask me, my opinion will be biased. I will say that it is not worth it at all. That's what I will say per my experience. I will say it's not worth it. But I mean, we are all entitled to our opinions. It has worked with for people. Somebody just sent us a message that her parents met at work and they were married for 40 years. So yes, it can happen, but there are a lot of things to consider before you go ahead with such a relationship.
I'm
And the
sorry,
first
Mrs. Yeboah.
person,
Mrs.
yes,
Yeboah.
ma'am,
You see,
yes, ma'am,
our sister said her parents married. That generation is different from this generation.
it's different from ours. It's true.
Yes, we are mental. Like this generation is total different. So all those
Mm,
things have to put into consideration. We that generation
mm,
that men knew how to talk to women, women knew how to talk to men. It's in the past now. Now we are all trying.
mm,
So I mean, all those things.
mm.
That generation barrier should also be put into consideration, not just because
That's true.
nowadays.
That's true. Alex. That's true. That's true. But at the same time, it might work for people. I mean, I know that's what I was saying, that I know people it has worked for, but there's a lot to consider. And honestly, to me, I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone to go into it. But anyway, you still can if you are sure about the whole thing and you are sure that it will work out. Um, I've received a private message. It's talking about um, those who married for 40 years. Says that it was a generation where things were fixed. I mean, and not discarded. Like broken things were fixed and not discarded. Like in our generation, that's so true. That's so true. In our generation, and I mean, you feel like you need to have everything perfectly. Everything has to be perfect. but in their generations, they actually worked things, and that's what marriage and relationships are, work. So, and if marriage and relationship is work, and you're already going to put it in a workplace setting, that is double work. And so you have to be sure that you are ready for that kind of tedious work. So, on that note, if nobody else has anything else to say, I mean, I'll just make my closing um, statements. This has been the dialogue with Lady Raj. And tonight we spoke about workplace romance. I just quickly want to read the scripture that the Bible gives us when it comes to love. I mean, it says, First Corinthians 13, I'm reading verses 4 to 8. A lot of us know the scripture. It says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up. It does not behave rudely, does not seek its own. It is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Amen. So, I mean, if you claim to love someone, um, is this true of you? Does the scripture speak of the kind of love you have towards the person? Is your love patient and kind? Is your love envious? It says love does not envy. It says love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things. Love never fails. And so please be sure when you tell somebody you love them, be sure that you really mean them. Be sure that this is what you are talking about, the kind of love that we just read about. As a believer, that is what we should be indulging in. So thank you so much for joining in once again, and God bless you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week. And oh, happy holiday. Happy holiday to those of us in Ghana. Those of you outside, I don't think you had a holiday. So thank you all so
No
much. God
holiday. Oh.
richly.
Ghana, you people, you enjoy holiday too much.
Yes,
What
we
is it?
love it. We love it. When you were here, you were enjoying it, so it's okay. Thank you so much. God bless us all. Bye.